Not only a great reset, it's a great deception.
Because that could be what is coming.
Replacing mum and dad, small businesses and private enterprises with...
Now, I'll play this through for a little bit. There's going to be a little bit of crypto content later, but mainly it's going to be looking at why there was bank collapses, another one. Some people did forecast it, but they didn't know which one. Goes on to explain why. So we have here, I may as well do it now, another bank collapse, 6th one this year. Basically a day later, more came out because the Iowa bank failure was tied to bad trucking loans. It goes over to explain that because of, large companies, large and small, have gone out of business. There are too many trucks chasing too little freight. Now, we'll go back to the video here.
Big tech and big business. Democracy and free enterprise go out the window. Totalitarian government control slides in through the back door.
So as, the whole world went through some pretty heavy stuff, we continue to go through some heavy stuff, we see failures of, the bloodlines of countries, which is trucking companies. And we're seeing now, little smaller shops owned by families like mum and dad shops, being closed out of business because they weren't essential. At the time they weren't essential, and now they are not returning. And now we're seeing trucking companies go bust, and then that's causing small banks to go bust. And on top of all of that, now I'll play back this.
Those behind this scheme are adamant that there can be and never will be a return to normal, that life will never again be what it was prior to. That is why they constantly talk about the new normal.
Let's have a look at the new normal. Hey, the new normal is small banks going bankrupt, small businesses going bankrupt, even larger businesses going bankrupt, and also why, if you have a bank account, which I'm guessing you most probably do, regardless of where you are in the world, maybe third worlds are an exception, but we're seeing banks closing accounts suddenly. Now, why is that? Let's have a look at some of their reasoning. Now, while I look for this, I'll continue to play this in the background.
The World Economic Forum meets every January in Davos. You will have heard of the expression Davos man. It refers to all the zillionaires and pop stars and popes and princes and politicians who meet every year to map out our futures. This year's Davos is very, very different to all the previous ones. The World Economic Forum, along with the United Nations, along with the International Monetary Fund, and along with any number of prominent globalist organizations and powerful individuals, including Prince Charles, together have jointly promised that the 2021 World Economic Forum will be used to introduce via a vast network of...
That's just a crazy conspiracy, right? Now, we have a look at systems in place as to why bank accounts may be closed. And if you look at this one, right, there's unusual or the usual cash deposits. Basically summarizing, it says that a small business or medium-sized business, possibly depending on their turnover, was using cash deposits, and the bank's systems flagged their cash deposits as, fraudulent or high risk. And that meant that they had to close down their bank account. Okay, so next one, we'll play this for a bit and I'll go back and
connected big tech corporations, online activist movements, and compliant local and national governments, something they call the Great Reset. This isn't some Sky After Dark fantasy conspiracy theory. It is a global commitment they have made to use the panic and fear.
No, that's just a complete conspiracy theory, and there's no controls in place closing down people's bank accounts for reasons that are not logical. Now, the next one is the marijuana connection. Now, some jurisdictions it's completely legal, some it's not. It says here, though, that... What does it say? Chunks of money between accounts. They shut down everything with no explanation. Why? Let's have a look. Why? That one's not so clear. That was a bad one. Because it's tied to a cannabis company. So whatever systems they have in place, if you don't have the correct business, which you're the correct legal business, you can't have a bank account. Okay, that sounds like freedom.
generated by the as a means to reshape all our economies and laws and move to a new form of capitalism that focuses on net zero emissions. You might think this is a great thing. You might think this is a terrible thing. If implemented successfully, the Great Reset will undeniably and deliberately have extreme and possibly dire repercussions for every single one of your constituents. Already, the Great Reset is being widely advertised on posters.
Great Reset. Where do I begin on that one? International Wires is where I'll focus. Now, the International Wire, it says he was working as a data analyst for Morgan Stanley. You know, one of these fraudulent Morgan Stanley analysts. I'm kidding. Contract job. And it seems what he happened to get International Wires. Wired him money, okay, and because he literally wired him money, a service that they offer, it looks like it was fraudulent, and under that process, it got cancelled. Are you kidding me? So not only is freedoms, you could argue, have been taken away and are being taken away, but now it's even harder to keep and maintain a bank account. God forbid. And we are all worried about central bank digital currencies, where we all seem to have forgotten that banks can randomly just close your bank accounts. It doesn't sound like freedom. Now, you could say we'll get a different bank account, but then what about the truckers in Canada and all of that? That played out. Was that a first? Was that the precedent? Is that going to be the normal moving forward? I don't know. I hope not. I honestly hope not.
And in ads across the UK and Europe, and no doubt will be here before too long. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy is just one of their marketing slogans. The plan involves replacing shareholders of big companies with stakeholders who happen to be left-wing bureaucrats and climate change zealots. Replacing mum and dad small businesses and private enterprises with big tech and big business. Mrs. Kafup's share portfolio is out. Greta Thunberg's zero emissions are in.
I can see
democracy.
I can see the logic behind increasing reliance on technology, because as everything upgrades, I guess you could call it, as everything moves forward, progresses, evolves, gets better, quicker, faster, and efficient. Yes, there'll be more technological and technology-related jobs, but I really don't think that's what they're talking about here. I'm thinking we're seeing a paradigm shift away from, smaller businesses and being somewhat more self-reliant and being able to make your own ends meet, to, if you don't have the correct business, then you will literally not have a bank account. So too bad. As we saw so far in this article with literally a guy working for a large company using a service, having the wrong type of business, and having a normal, the right type of business, but not using their systems in the way that they think you should use them, because it's not all electronically trackable. Now, we could say that's exactly what a central bank digital currency will be. So it looks like they're going to move towards that system anyway, regardless. So they're pressing ahead. Now this one, unusual cash withdrawals. Now it says here he withdrew money in chunks to pay his contractor who requested cash payment. So legally taking your own money out of a bank that you have an agreement with, you can't do that anymore because they've changed their agreements on you. Where have I heard that before? Maybe it was during some pandemic of some sort. I'm not sure. But that does not give me positive vibes at all. Knowing that, if I wanted to, have large amounts of money and keep it and deposit into a bank account, then at any time they could just pull the pin on you and decide, no, we're not dealing with you anymore because we don't like your business, how you're doing your business, or how you're spending your own money. Sorry, buddy, go to another bank.
In free enterprise go out the window, totalitarian government control slides in through the back door. But remember, it's not only a great reset, it's a great deception. Because in order to get everyday people to surrender many of the rights and freedoms we currently take for granted, the repeatedly stated aim of these organizations is to deliberately use as an excuse, to use all the political and authoritarian tools, as Prince Charles puts it.
Big conspiracy. No one's losing freedoms. What are you talking about? Banks aren't cracking down on people how they use their money. Cash isn't like, becoming extremely hard to withdraw. It's getting better. What are you talking about? Crazy anonymous official channel. God. Now, also, by the way, if the way I read this, it says somehow, just magically. Now, I've always had a theory. Imagine if you could track and trace every single thing a person had ever purchased in their lifetime. Well, you'll need to A, use their service, and B, provide them with those details. Now, who would be crazy enough to do that, even if they've never done anything wrong in their life? Well, when you have an account with a bank, you tell them your date of birth, where you live, you tell them how much you earn, you tell them where you spend your money, you actually show them with receipts how you spend your money. So it wouldn't be too hard for anyone to do some looking around and discover whether or not you do XYZ in your spare time. Now, this is why evil cash cannot be used, because it's used by terrorists, or it's used by criminals. It's like, hang on. That's the same argument you're saying about crypto. That's the same argument you're saying about anything that is not apparently directly wired in from bank to bank. I don't know what they're trying to get at here. Like anything that's not FedNow, anything that's not, a central bank digital currency in every way, shape, or form. I don't know. Could just be me. Now, this one here basically said criminal history. Had an old criminal history. And apparently it had on the file or the information held about him, this individual here reportedly had a mugshot from 10 years ago. So somehow the bank was able to pull up, an entire history on him. That's kind of creepy, man. That's extremely creepy. Imagine, like I said, imagine if things were once legal, become illegal, then everyone gonna have a mugshot? God damn. Alright, I'll play this in the background and I will.
That are currently being used around the world to eradicate them, such as lockdowns, exclusion zones, forced closure of businesses, heavy fines, making protesting illegal, and so on. But now to eradicate carbon emissions. Those behind this scheme are adamant that there can be and never will be a return to normal, that life will never again.
Carbon emissions. Can you imagine if banks enforce carbon credit emission trading schemes whereby you agree unknowingly because you sign up and you open an account with them that you will adhere to tracking because the vehicle that you drive is not, carbon friendly, even though we've all seen a charging station like literally plugged into a diesel generator? It's like, okay, where is the electricity coming from? Well, it's electric, it's fine. No, I didn't mean to shit on electric vehicles, I'm just saying some logic is flawed, I think. Now, community loan pools, banks dislike any patterns that look like a scam. It looks like a scam, so the file looks like a scam. I don't know, you could use how your money's printed, but you can't talk to them about that. Now, bank customers often don't get explanations why, but anyway, it says here, a community savings and loan pool was at the center of them collecting and distributing money. Oh, that's evil. How dare they get together and create a community loan pool? That is disgusting. What the? Lost access to their bank accounts. And so not just the bank account in question, the entire suite, the credit card, the loans, the mortgages. So you go log in one day, oh, sorry, how would that even work? Did they have to pay back everything or they transfer it over to somewhere else or what, like bankruptcy? I don't know. Let's have a look. They don't like how lump sums moved. It was like he was speaking to a machine. Have you seen? Oh my, what do you think happened when we gave away our freedoms, people? You can't question anything, even if it's not legally enforceable, because it is legally enforceable, apparently they can just write into existence requirements to I don't know, enter a building or requirements to enter a business, which is not legally enforceable. It never was. But because everyone was so scared, they're too scared to ask a question. Is this right what we're doing? And they got met with no, I probably shouldn't say that on this stream. Okay, no. Everything's fine, people. Relax.
Be what it
All
was
good.
prior to. That is why they constantly talk about the new normal. This is
normal.
not me saying this.
All
This
good.
is them saying it. The people with the power and the means and the obsessional desire
I would,
to do it.
If
And they
anyone
keep telling
has an experience about having your bank account suddenly closed, or if you work in a bank, tell us how you decided to shut down an account. Interesting. Now, next on the list, this will be interesting. Musk has a new chatbot that has a little humor, so it'll be interesting to see how much you can ask this particular chatbot. Maybe you can ask it about what cryptocurrencies might do, and
us
if it
again
knows
and
about
again
these shares, you know.
precisely what they have in store.
Now is the historical moment, the time, not only
I just
to
can't get
fight
over this
the
video.
but to shape the system. We have a unique.
So the problem is, I guess, fear porn, doom porn, and all that. It doesn't actually help with the making actual change, because I can sit around and scroll through all of this and go, oh my god, the world is disgusting, everything's bad. But in the end, how do we fix it? So part of the solution, I would say, Elon Musk is trying to fix what he thinks is a problem with chatbots. I would say this article is trying to this article is trying to spread information about how you've had your bank account closed, maybe, or if you have knowledge about how a bank account could be closed, or and moving on from there, I think that is a solution. You tell people, you're waking people, you go, look at this, what is going on? This is not, I don't think this is normal. This is not communist China. This is, even though this is not happening here in Australia, that's being reported in the New York Times, which it could be happening here in Australia for all we know, but people just go along with it and agree, because people are pretty agreeable in the land down under. And there's a saying, she'll be right, mate, and some of this shit, man, we're not going to be right, okay? We might not be okay. We actually might need to push back. We might need to make a change. So how can you make a change? At minimum, I would suggest trying to become financially free. And how would you become financially free? Well, if you're having your bank account closed, is probably not a good move to become financially free. And reading about the reasons why some of this stuff actually took place kind of scares the actual shit out of me, because running your business with cash could be a reason. Engaging with the wrong type of business, not even engaging, just having links to it vaguely, studying and sending international money. Like, what if you want to engage with an exchange that has an international money transfer? What if you want to trade some sort of asset class, and you actually need to, send money to an account which is internationally, hosted, I guess you could say. Hosted internationally wire money somewhere else. That could be of a concern. And what if you make extreme amounts of money, all of a sudden they say, oh, you're making too much money, and then you're withdrawing it as cash? Oh, we don't like this. It's like, well, how do I win? Oh, you're making too much money, and then now you've got a business, and you're running the business. We don't like the way you're running the business. It's like, no matter what, technically they could set you up to fail if they wanted to, but I mean, that's just a big conspiracy. Like, why would I don't know, people want you to be sort of less self-sufficient and more obedient and more anyway, I'll play this for a little bit, and then we'll have a look at some crypto stuff, which I think
shrinking window of opportunity
is
to learn lessons and reset
potentially a
ourselves on
way
more sustainable
to
path.
get
It is an
some
opportunity we have never had before,
financial freedom.
and may never have again. So we must use all the levers we have at our disposal, knowing that each and every one of us has a vital role to play.
Oh yeah, each and every one of us, yes. We're all equal in this planet, indeed.
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be awakened.
We're all even, because, what I'm saying is, like, really, really large and influential people have the ability to tell Canadian truckers what they can and can't eat, or if they eat at all, or if they can have fuel, if they can have heating in the winter, in the freezing cold, because you might freeze to death or something. And really large institutions have the power to tell a little individual business how they can or cannot function. Now, this is all to protect you and to protect them, because people doing the exact same thing as them might be criminals, so they need to have their livelihoods absolutely destroyed and wrecked, because they could be a criminal. They're not actually a criminal, but they could be. So that's perfectly logical in their process, because the people that create these sorts of processes I don't think they understand any. I shouldn't say that. So I was watching Bloomberg TV, right? And it's really funny watching some of that stuff, because it's almost like they're just shilling their own products. They're shilling anything from stocks to equities to stocks. And I'm like, are you serious? It's awful. It's almost like watching a YouTube influencer who specializes in leverage trading telling you about leverage trading. I don't know. It's just, I like to think I can see that. I like to think everyone can see that, but I'm not so sure. I'm really not so sure after what we went through. But yeah, if you found something that could help you, like cryptocurrency, maybe you'll be okay. Now, I'll play this for a little bit and then we'll have a look at crypto.
It is imperative that we reimagine, rebuild, redesign, reinvigorate, and rebalance our world. Rebalancing investment, harnessing science and technology, and advancing the transition to net zero emissions, all elements of the Great Reset, are fundamental to building the future we need.
And if it's still not clear, a book written by World Economic Forum boss Klaus Schwab himself, setting out precisely how the most powerful forces in the world are lining up to use the crisis as a...
I'm pretty sure this is Sky News. That voice sounds familiar. Now, talking about building things to empower individuals, to help motivate them to make insane loonbirds like myself, hopefully rich beyond our wildest dreams. We can look at Pulse Chain. Talking about things, people shilling people and how you can't see it. There's a difference between being paid to do something on a TV show and working for a large hedge fund and then going on a TV news outlet which covers everything investing, and then going on there and telling them how wonderful your hedge fund is, versus someone who stumbled across something very early on and then is experiencing it being built and rolled out in real time, something that's immutable, something that could be used in any way you want. For all you know, people could be in the hedge funds and getting insanely rich to destroy the project to put the money back in the hedge fund. I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just saying as an example. But it can be. There's no limit to how this can be used. The limit is, I would say, if you are doing something insanely illegal, you're most likely going to get caught, because when the money comes out, think about it, everything's tracked and traced. You can't even open a goddamn account and run your business in a certain way without your bank account being closed. What do you think is going to happen if people are, doing illegal things and then making money on crypto legally, and then taking that money out and doing illegal things, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Or using illegal money to then to invest in crypto. Now, this stream was just going off the rails here, but people think it's all like anonymous. No, it's all on chain, right? All of it. You can see what is happening, and then you can see exit and entry points are like monitored, like with goddamn packet sniffers everywhere, I would call them. And by the way, people that have accounts, it's not just that. Isn't it good to know that if you've ever had a criminal record, you've ever had a speeding ticket, then your mugshot might appear in a bank account, in their records. Like, should they have access to that data? Doesn't matter. You already gave it to them, so it's too late. God damn, what does the world come to?
Pretext for introducing a new climate change-focused one world economy that will strip away property rights and basic democratic rights. They are not hiding this stuff. They are shouting it from the rooftops. The World Economic Forum boasts on its website that the only acceptable response to the crisis is to pursue a great reset of our economies, our politics, and our societies.
Big great reset. God damn. No one's getting great reset tattoos. No one's getting bank tattoos, right? One ecosphere where some people with tattoos may exist is this one here. Now, I highly doubt anyone outside the Hex ecosphere is even going to discover this content. So I question the point about even talking about cryptocurrencies at this point because of that reason. But I like to think currently we are sitting and things are just simmering away, and we're not going to know. I think it's getting closer, but you know when you're boiling water, I'm not going to use the frog in the pot analogy, but you know when you're boiling water and it's sort of warming up, right? If you're not near it, you can't really tell, but if you can visually see it, and then at one point it starts to simmer, the next thing it's boiling over. Now I would say the boiling over point is when moon, as everyone in crypto wants to know. I like to think at the moment, in this particular ecosphere, I would say it's simmering, and we don't know how much it's simmering. But we have seen in the last 7 days some positive upside, which is good. So I'll leave it there on a positive note. Yeah, I don't know what to say. A positive note after hearing banks collapse because of businesses that are struggling, but we get told the economy's fine, and then we learn that some banks, are just sort of, I don't know how to word it. They're just cracking down on anything that looks even remotely suspicious. And who is doing this? I don't know, like some clerk somewhere that says this loan pool looks sus, or a clerk somewhere that says this person has a criminal history, so that could be bad, or there's quote unquote unusual cash withdrawals without actually researching, further. They have limited amount of time and they have to adhere to quotas, and if they do not perform, they won't get their bonus, and if they do not perform, maybe they get less hours. I'm not sure of the structure in which they're functioning. And if anything happens that is international, it automatically seems suspicious, especially if it's from quote unquote certain countries. And anything that has anything to do with certain types of businesses, depending on what country you're in, could also be flagged. Mind you, the people making these decisions, what is their knowledge about? What is their background about? Do they have all day to sit around and look at one particular file, or have they got like 3 minutes to go, okay, what is this with this account? Should we flag it? Should we give them a warning? Does their warning trigger something? Does the warning then, trigger something else? If they do not respond satisfactorily or meet adherence to our reporting requirements, then we are unfortunately going to have to close this account on you, even though it is for a business running operations, even though it is for completely legitimate legal operations, even though it is for, anything. I'm speechless at this point. Absolutely speechless. But yes, if you've found some certain cryptocurrencies, maybe you can sidestep some of this, some of the stuff that's coming. Yeah. Free speech, signing out.